What comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. We're starting today a series about God. The title of today's message is Mystery Revealed. And I don't know what you think about God. I don't know what that image is based on, and whether you think that even matters, what you think about God. But today, and these coming few weeks, I want to look at the question about what does God say about himself? When I look at creation, I don't know if you're like me or if I look at animals and the plants or huge views and the mountains or scenery, I can't help but be in awe of it all. I just think it's amazing. There's such beauty and such just a delight in enjoying it. And I look into the sky at night and see the stars and just contemplate the enormity of space. And then you see pictures from like the Hubble telescope and you think about the enormity of the cosmos and the things beyond our vision, even of the most powerful telescopes that exist now on the planet. There's just so much of it. And it begs the question in my mind, how is it possible for us to imagine that this was all random, came about by chance? So in the Bible, in one of the early writings in the Psalm, it has this lovely poetic writing, and it says this: the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge. They have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard for them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. So the question is, does it declare to you? Does it declare across the world just the magnificence in creation? Does it declare something of the glory of God? Robert Zastrow, who was the founding director of the Goddard Institute of Space Exploration at NASA, he says this: the details differ, but the essential elements in the astronomical and biblical accounts of Genesis are the same. This is an exceedingly strange development, unexpected by all but the theologians. They have always believed the word of the Bible, but we scientists did not expect to find evidence from an abrupt beginning, because we have had, until recently, such extraordinary success in tracing the chain of cause and effect backward in time. At this moment, it seems as though science will never be able to raise the curtain on the mystery of creation. For the scientist who has lived by his faith in the power of reason, the story ends like a bad dream. He has scaled the mountains of ignorance. He is about to conquer the highest peak. As he pulls himself over the final rock, he is greeted by a band of theologians who have been sitting there for centuries. God is to be discovered. Science is the most wonderful thing because it provokes questions and demands exploration to discover answers. And God wants to be discovered. He wants to be found. And your image of God, whatever that is based on, is probably from a variety of influences in your life. But in this series, we're looking at the question of what does God say about himself? Looking at his attributes. What does the writings of the biblical accounts say, as we believe is authored by God himself, by inspiration? What is God described? How is he described? You know, one of the characteristics of God is his power. It's described in theological terms of his omnipotence. If you think about the amount of power generated by the sun, say just even in 1 hour, the amount of energy that hits the Earth's surface in 1 hour is enough to give every person on the planet a light bulb, a 60-watt light bulb, that would last their entire lifetime. Just in 1 hour. But the sun is immeasurably more powerful than that. its power is radiating in every direction. We just see a fraction of it, and even that for only half of the day. But the reality of the power is dwarfed by the fact that the sun is just one star amongst trillions and trillions of stars that exist in the whole cosmos. And yet God created all of those things. God is all powerful. The scale of power of God is beyond our understanding, beyond our reach. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 29, it says, he looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. And elsewhere in the New Testament, it says, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20, it says, now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. This is the God who is omnipotent. The power, the potency of God, it's all encompassing. The second thing is about his presence. He is omnipresent. He is everywhere all at the same time. These are the characteristics of God. I found out that you can discover which are the most surveilled city in the world, which has the most surveillance equipment, so many cameras. And there's a city in China, and it's called Chunqing. That's the name of the city. That takes some saying and practice, which I should have done more of. But it has, let me get the numbers right, it has 2.5 million cameras to a population of 15.3 million people. It's a big city. It's 168 cameras for every 1,000 people in that city. Interestingly, London is quite high in its surveillance capability as well. It has 68 cameras for every 1,000 people. It's number 6 in the world of most surveillance-ridden cities. But that's dwarfed by the fact that God is everywhere, all at the same time, seeing everything. He is omnipresent, is the word that we would use. Jeremiah chapter 23 says, am I only a God nearby, declares the Lord, and not a God far away? Who can hide in secret places so that I cannot see them, declares the Lord? Do not I fill heaven and earth, declares the Lord. He is omnipresent. But he also knows everything there is to know. He is omniscient. He's all-knowing. Science comes from the word scient. It's all knowledge belongs to God. We think we can find out anything today by Googling. So you've got your phone in your pocket. If somebody asks a question, you don't know the answer to it. Actually, the simplest thing is to Google it. It's become a verb in our language. And in a sense, knowledge becomes less important to us because we can find out that piece of information. We don't have to remember things because we can find out the answer to that relatively easy. But God is all-knowing but wants to be discovered. He wants to be found, and he breaks into the universe to be discovered in the person of Jesus at a specific time in history, in a specific place, so that he would become known. Not a God far off, but a God who breaks into our universe, breaks into our world, breaks into time, and comes in the person of Jesus so that we might get to know him. The Hebrews, one of the early Christian leaders, says this. He says, in the past, God spoke to our ancestors through the prophets at many times and in various ways. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, that's Jesus, whom he appointed heir of all things, and through whom also he made the universe. The Son is the radiance of God's glory and the exact representation of his being, sustaining all things by his powerful word. After he had provided purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the majesty in heaven. So he became as much superior to the angels as the name he has inherited is superior to theirs. He wants to be known. He wants to be discovered because he loves you. He loves me. He loves the world. And he doesn't want to remain far off and aloof. He wants to become close and intimate so that you can discover who he is and so that I can discover who he is and know him personally, not as a force, not as an inanimate object, but as a friend, in a relationship. It says in this passage that it says, after he provided purification for sins. This is the picture of the God who comes into the world and purifies, makes a sacrifice so that it's possible to know him, takes away the punishment that we would have because of our sin and the things we've done wrong, and purifies us. It literally means cleansing, a new start, a new beginning, taking away all the things that we've ever done wrong so that we can come into a relationship with he can come into a relationship with us, we can become in a relationship with him. That's just amazing. That is awesome. The cosmos is awesome, but the understanding that the creator of the cosmos wants to know you and me, well, that's truly staggering. And if true, obviously I believe it's true, but we each need to discover this and pursue that finding and knowledge of God. If true, it's the most important thing that you can discover in your life. So the question, the statement I said at the beginning, what comes into your mind when you think about God is the most important thing about us. What do you think about God when you think of him? What is it that comes to your mind? Where does that knowledge come from? What is that you think about it? What is that image that you've created in your mind? Is it things that you've heard, things that others have said? Or is it based on who God says he is? He's omnipotent. He's omniscient. He's omnipresent. He knows everything. He is everywhere. And he's all powerful, and yet he wants to know you, and he wants to know me. I said this message is titled Mystery Revealed. This is the essence of the whole of the New Testament. It's that God told us in the Old Testament, in the early writings, that he was going to come. And the New Testament is the description of the fact that he did come and what happened as a result, and how we now can connect with him and have a relationship with him. So I invite you to do that. Why don't you pray? Just a simple prayer in your own heart, in your own words, that says, God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me. And I can guarantee you he will. The fact that you're watching this video, I'm so encouraged by. Pray that prayer. And if you want to follow up with us, then follow the links, follow up with me. Follow the links in the description. I'd love to pray with you, send you some information. But you discover for yourself that God is real. He's all powerful. He's all knowing. And he's everywhere, even where you are just now, because he loves you and wants to be discovered by you. God bless you.